Welcome everybody. I think we're live. Yep, looks like we're live tonight. Shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom for anybody observing the Sabbath tonight. Tonight is Friday, June 30th, the last day of June 2023. What a beautiful month. 30 days ago, I had no garden. Right now, I have rocking plants everywhere. I love Minnesota in summer and spring and fall. With that winter, that last 6 months is for the birds. Well, not even for the birds. Even they fly south, so I guess I don't know who it's for. People with snowmobiles and toys and younger people who aren't sick of it yet. Anyway, hope you're all doing well. Hope you all had a great Friday. I certainly did. I worked around my house and yard, so getting her done. Get out the way, as they say. Getting my stuff done and working on projects and a garden and all kinds of cool stuff. So anyway, very good. Tonight's an open chat. I will put up a link if somebody asks that they and say they want to come in. I will. Just don't need anybody dropping their pants again. You know what I'm saying? Not that it's a big deal for me, but YouTube can possibly take your channel down for that. Many people have lost their channels for something called porn bombing. Actually, it could also be called, it depends. Sometimes they will play porn and sometimes they will drop their own pants. And that's what happened in my case. Somebody came on and dropped their pants. And nobody was impressed. So, yeah. Please don't do that. Anyway. That's kind of the things that you learn when you do live streams is that when you have guests up, gotta be careful. So I am willing to have a guest up tonight or two or how many want to come up, but I have to know you. I have to at least seen you before. And actually, I could put a new person up if I could if I hide their face and hide their do full screen on me and not let them on the screen. So there is ways to get around it, but anyway, I prefer the ounce of prevention rather than the pound of cure. You know what I'm saying? So actually, it's happened a few times. It's happened a few times over the years that's happened. And again, it was somebody that was pulling down their pants, and that was a few years back when Chris was alive. It was sad too because it was our last interview before he passed away, and we had to take it down and delete it. I lose my channel, so whoever that was ruined our last interview with Chris before he passed away. So anyway, may he rest in peace. He's been gone a while, actually. How long it's been? Maybe 5 years? In December? Anyway, I miss him. I wish I could talk to him about a lot of stuff. I would have loved to hear his opinion on certain things. You know what I'm saying? He was smart. And I also remember, that's weird. That thing just blanked out and turned white. What is going on here? That's weird. It's really weird. Anyway, I turned white as a ghost. Are those white? I don't know. I think they're cloudy, see-through. But anyway, I don't know what just happened there. It turned on, I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway, so that's the plan for tonight, just to open chat. If anybody wants to come up and chat, you can. I wouldn't mind playing Bible Jeopardy tonight. I could pull that up. Actually, I might have to pull it up while I'm waiting. Because that is fun. Always a good time. Bible Jeopardy. Anyway, not sure what anything's going on in the news today. I have no TV or radio, so I don't know. Well, hi, Omar. How you doing tonight? Good to see you. I hope you had a wonderful Friday. I hope you're ending a good week. I know for Friday, a lot of people, it's the end of their work week. I worked in a doctor's office from 9 to 5 for 20 years. But I also worked nights and weekends in an urgent care and emergency room. So Friday was sometimes the end of the week, but not always. But it was TGIF Friday. When the best thing about Friday, every other Friday was payday. So there was some things fun about work, you know what I mean? Builds character, all that other stuff. All right, so yes. Oh, I just randomly. Oh, hey, Grace. Yeah, I don't know why it turned white. That's kind of weird. It is weird. God bless you too, Omar. Hope all is well. Hold on a second. Oops. Just a second. I was listening to Omar. I bet you know what your name means, don't you? Your name means something like a long life or something like that. But I was listening to somebody talking about the one in the Bible. Was it Tamar who had a husband who died without giving her children? And the next one, well, he died because God said he was wicked. And the next one was supposed to have children with her, because back then that's what they did. If your brother dies without having children, it's your job to get in there as a brother and get her pregnant. And so when God struck the first one, her first husband, down dead because it was wicked, I guess. And mind you, this is Judah. Well, the tribe of Judah, or the southern kingdom, whatever. Judah. All right. So Judah's sons, he had 3 sons. Like I said, the first one married Tamar, supposed to give her children, but God struck him dead because he was wicked or something. God didn't like him. So the brother goes in, and he's supposed to be, get her pregnant on behalf of the brother. But he doesn't want to do that, so when he's having sex with her, he spills the seed on the ground, as they say. It says. So God strikes him dead. And the third one, well, he was still young. Wait for him to grow up. You know what I find interesting about that story? A lot of things, actually. One of the things, well, anyway, so she ends up, so the third son, they hid him away from her because, I thought he was going to die too. So they broke the deal. Judah broke the deal, and they didn't let the younger son so anyway, Tamar sees him and notices that the kid's all grown up, and she got ripped off. She's waiting for this kid to grow up so she can have children on behalf of her first husband. Anyway, that was a no-go. So the thing I think was funny is Judah has such a habit of going to prostitutes. And this is literally a temple prostitute. He thought she was a temple prostitute. Say, wait a minute. The temple had prostitutes? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Male and female. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. And Judah? You mean the Judah? Tribe of Judah? Yeah. Yeah. He likes prostitutes a lot. So Tamar, all she had to do is just go up to the gate and hang out there at the gate of the temple. And in seconds, Judah wants her. Wants to know how much. What's the price? And anyway, you know the rest of the story. I think you do. So anyway, that's an interesting story, but I think it's funny. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you the rest of the story because I got more to say about that. As a matter of fact, like I said, the whole family has got. We're going to go over the whole family sometime. This is supposed to be your forefathers. Really. So Judah, has sex with Tamar, thinking she's a prostitute, and he doesn't really have the money. He's going to pay her with some goats or something, and or a goat or something. Anyway, she said, "Well, for collateral, give me your signet, your cane, and your whatever, a couple personal items that he can't deny are his." Now, what does Judah do? He goes to get the goat or whatever he's going to pay her with because they already did the dirty, or whatever you want to call it. So he goes to get the goat or whatever he promised, and comes back and she's gone. And what does he say? Oh man, this don't look good. Where's that prostitute that was working at the temple? They're like, nah, there's no prostitute on duty today. Or whatever. And I think it's very strange that like by today's standards, every one of these founding forefathers, or whatever you want to call them, would be like in the tabloids, you know what I mean? Multiple wives, one married to two sisters. Like, what? They got shows on cable about that. Guy marrying twin sisters or whatever. Two sisters, three sisters, sister wives or whatever. Today it'd be a doggone freak show. So would So the fact that the most upstanding guy, or one of the most, or whatever, very upstanding supposed to be, a guy that hangs around the temple, the Holy Holies, and he's looking for that prostitute to pay. And I was listening to somebody this week talking about this. And I tell you, I've been listening to that series of Jennifer Burge. It's very interesting. When she pointed out that, forget about it being the prostitute, he said, this is going to look bad if I don't pay the temple prostitute. And she pointed out that it was funny that they're worried about how he's going to look for not paying the prostitute. Not that he was with a prostitute. He's going to look bad for not paying the prostitute. Anyway, she brings a few interesting points I haven't thought about. But I've always thought this story is like really jacked up because, okay, so she gets, she's waiting around for husband after husband, and each one dies, whatever. And she waited around for the other one to grow up, and he grows up, and she sees them all growing up, and they broke their deal or whatever. So she's going to take matters into her own hand. And so, yeah, Judah's got such a habit of prostitutes that all she had to do is stand there. And, well, there you go. He gets her pregnant, and then what? So Tamar gets pregnant by Judah himself. Forget the kids, okay? 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. Forget the kids. Just go back to the dad. Go back to grandpa and get pregnant from him. And you skip the kids. Heck with them. And she gets and not to mention that's his daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law dresses up as a prostitute and has to have sex with her father-in-law because the father-in-law welched on his deal. And those are your founding fathers. And people say, oh, I believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I told you guys I got a problem with that. You can believe in that all you want. First of all, I will never say I believe in the same God as somebody else because I don't know what God they believe in. Especially a God of somebody that lived thousands of years ago. I barely know anything about. And not even if it's true or not. I'm gonna vow that I worship the same God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I didn't even know these people. I don't know what God they worship. And by the looks of their past, wow. I mean, look at just Judah alone with the prostitutes. What about all of them? What about all of them? From Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, all of them. And you know what I've learned? She did a 30-day trial of doing live streams every day for 30 days. And people find out that's not easy to make it every single day. And but she did. She made it every day. A couple days she was even traveling. Still did it in her car or whatever. But one thing I really, really learned, which I kind of knew, but like really, one thing I learned from her series after 30 days is this. Because her series is showing how she's picking out stories that show about how the Bible views marriage. Okay, marriage in the Bible. There really isn't such a thing as marriage. It's more of when a man takes a wife. That's and really so the act of having sex is claiming that as your wife. But they didn't really call it your wife. But anyway, one thing I learned through the Old and the New Testament, you guys, and New Testament, Old and New Testament, is that I come to the realization after hearing a story after story after story, and the way she put it together, I've come to the realization that she's right. The entire Old and New Testament, women are property, period. There's not one story in the Bible where, first of all, where somebody gets married. Okay, they don't. There's no marriage. There is celebrations. There's a like receptions. There's like a party when people get joined, but it's always the women are property from beginning to end. Even in Jesus' time, it's more ownership. Absolutely. So then now, if you reset your mind into that fact, now the stories make sense. Every one of them makes sense. Like even Jesus said, so if you divorce a woman, you have to give her a certificate of divorce, is what the Old Testament said, because the Old Testament says, yeah, you can divorce her. But anyway, because otherwise you make her an adulterer, okay? Not him. It's pretty much a guy cannot, the only way a man can really commit adultery, air quotes adultery, is if he has sex with another man's property. Okay, so it's like women are like cars or Harley Davidsons or something. Just think of it that way. So if you go and ride your neighbor's Harley without, well, anyway, behind his back, you've defiled his property. And just so every story, if you read it with the 100% fact that women are property, every single one. And if you think about the story of Jacob with his two wives, Rebecca and Leah, think about that. He worked for 7 years for one. He got tricked, and I would get the two mixed up. But why? So it never says that she loved him. Was it Rebecca? Which one had the soft eyes? She said he loved her because she had soft eyes. Well, that's all they're seeing is their eyes. Okay, they're all covered up. They don't really know what they're gonna get, but he sees the eyes. He sees the sister's eyes and her eyes. He likes her eyes better, so he picks the one with the one he likes the eyes. It doesn't say she liked him back or she wanted to marry him or anything like that. So if you're a property and you're a woman and your dad, that's why you get sold. And your dad would sell you. And once you're sold, you can't go back to mom and dad when it don't work out, because they already sold you. They don't own you anymore. Anyway, so if you think about the Jacob, who had two wives, so he works for 7 years and gets handed the wrong one. Now, we know that you can get divorced. In the Old Testament, they said you can get divorced, just give her a certificate so she can marry somebody else. And but he didn't, did he? He kept that one and went 7 more years to get the next sister. So he's working for the property. I mean, he's paying off, a second human, and wow, there's so many. Every story you can just see how somebody was property. The woman is always property, and also she pointed out how the women really don't have speaking lines, like hardly at all. They're never given and even like King David, when he fetched those men to fetch the Bathsheba next door, when he shouldn't even have been home, he should have been out to war in springtime. But he stays behind, which is he shouldn't have done that. And then he goes and basically takes the neighbor's wife, who's not his property. She belongs to somebody else. I forgot the guy's name. He's got a weird name. You know who he is. And then he ends up, trying to get that guy killed after he gets anyway. So just takes this wife, basically, she's got no choice, because he's sends soldiers over there to get her, and he has his way with her, which, basically is rape, of course. And then she gets pregnant, and then he murders her husband to try to cover his tracks. And anyway, like every time, it's always a relationship of not two people falling in love. There isn't anybody falling in love in the Bible. Not one. It's always, I took this woman and he, then you mark your territory with her. And then if you don't like her for whatever, it's weird because there's even I don't know if it's Deuteronomy, it's one of those Old Testament books. There's even a passage in there. If after the wedding night you don't like her, you can get rid of her. If you find something offensive about her. So I don't know. You take all clothes off, you don't like how she looks naked, I don't know. But it's always a business deal. Never a Romeo and Juliet story ever in the Bible. So if you come to that grips of the reality that, yeah, even in the New Testament, the women are property. I mean, and so marriage is just a purchase of a woman. And which, by the way, there was that story. It's a doublet, actually. It's in the story. It's in the Bible twice. Like two different people wrote the same story about, she's my sister. Where Abraham says that Sarah's the sister. And actually, one story is a little bit more, looks like Sarah, he had sex with Sarah, the king. Anyway, loads them up on presents and gifts. Well, you don't do that unless for a woman, unless you purchased her. Anyway, so you can go back to every story where a man and a woman gets together, and it's a purchase. Yep, it is an ownership. Yep. And then so yeah, so really the only way a man can commit adultery is if you have sex with another man's wife. Not like you're married. If he's married, he can go have sex with whoever he wants, because even prostitutes, because that's okay. And you know what? Wow, you know what the real kicker in that Tamar story, where she has to dress up as a prostitute to get Judah to instantly, of course, has sex with her and pays her and whatever, or tries to pay her. But so she does end up with that bloodline, and Judah's bloodline. I was gonna say something about it, but I got distracted because I'm reading something. But anyway, just go back to any story. It is ownership. And that's it. I was just looking at watching a little bit of Ceiling Fan Man. makes me laugh. He had John Pounders on. I told you guys a week ago. I think a week ago tonight. Or maybe it was 2 weeks. I don't know. It was a Friday night. I can't remember. Anyway, John Pounder poo-pooed the Mandela Effect Bible changes. Like, really. And he didn't really like it because they're really pushing that Mandela Effect stuff. And then, out of curiosity, I went to watch NYSTV or whatever their show is called now, the nighttime one. And him and the old man, they were totally ripping on the Mandela Effect Bible changes. And the old man, I forgot his name, Jericho said that whoever believes in that's from the devil. And then what? Well, then Ceiling Fan Man put out a video. He was very upset. Oh, and they said, what's this guy know anyway? He's been reading the Bible for only 2 years. The changes happened supposedly 5 years or 10 years ago or something. Anyway, I think it's funny. I think it is funny. The Mandela effect, and it is funny. It was never considered adultery, and sex with temple prostitutes is always okay too. Yeah, you know it's really weird. This is what I'm gonna say. Remember, I told you I just lost my train of thought. Found the train. Here comes the train with my thoughts on it. Okay, here it goes. I hopped on the train with my thoughts. Okay, I got my thoughts. Lost my thoughts again. Yeah, anyway, so Tamar gets pregnant with Judah, right? After tricking him, pretending she's a prostitute. She comes back, big old belly sticking out. She's really, really pregnant. And Judah says, look at the harlot. She's pregnant out of wedlock or whatever. Burn her at the stake. Burn her at the stake because she had sex outside of marriage. Burn her at the stake, he said. And, well, that's when she produces his cane, his signet, his robe, or whatever the heck it was, all his stuff, and says, you're the father. He's like, and then what happens? He gets hailed like some hero that just kicked the winning field goal or something. Oh, he's the big hero now because he admitted that she's not the sinner. He is. And not for having sex with temple prostitutes. He's a sinner because, yeah, he should have let the third son marry her. But he gets hailed like some kind of hero because he admits what a jerk he's been. Just a little part of it. Not all of everything. Yeah. Yeah, not really adultery. So anyway. Yeah, but the guy, like, a guy would get in trouble if he's trying to have sex with another man's property, aka wife. But yeah, you're not going to find no love stories in the Bible at all. Nope. And then when you reread these, like the thing on divorce, you know, I mean, that when Jesus tries to change the, he says, well, in the days of old, which is the law, the Torah, the books of Moses were the 5 first books of the Bible, the Torah. So those are the law. He says, I haven't come to change not one jot or tittle of the law, but then he changes a couple things. And one of the things he changes is that it's kind of funny because in the Old Testament, you can get divorced for any reason you want. You just have to give her, well, the man can get divorced for any reason he wants. But he has to give her a certificate of divorce, so she is not considered an adulteress. So it's like you're given the title card. Give her your title card, okay, because you're giving up ownership. So hand the title card for her to her and let her go off and let somebody else buy her. So she can go get bought by somebody else, basically, is what they're saying. And so yeah, so that's what, but okay, so that's in the laws of Moses. So you can divorce her even after the first night of the wedding night, or whatever you want to call it. They didn't have a wedding. After the first time that you have her, because as soon as you take her, you buy her from somebody, and you mark her territory, you mark her as territory. And so you decide you don't want her or whatever, you give her back her, you know. But anyway, and then it comes to the New Testament, and Jesus in the Gospels, Jesus says, well, you know, they said you can get divorced for any reason you want, just give her a certificate of divorce. But I say, I'm going to change a little bit. And even though I said I'm not going to change, I am going to change it. I say you shouldn't get divorced at all, unless it is for, I think he said adultery, except for adultery. Okay, so that means so you can't get rid of the wife that you bought unless she commits adultery. And then in that case, it's a capital offense and they kill her. He changed the law and the covenant. Everything has been done away with. You're good to go. Yes, everything's been nailed to the cross, in case anybody forgot. All the laws of Moses. It's like a Christmas tree, really. It's just beautiful. Anyway, so I totally got thrown off. Because it is funny. Okay, I remember. I remember now. See, the train thought just came by another one. All right. So what I was saying is that so Jesus comes and he changes the law. By the way, you guys, now I don't want to get too far off track because I'm going to forget what I'm talking about. No, I'm going to keep going because I'll forget what I'm talking about. Anyway, so Jesus says, okay, you shouldn't get divorced. No, forget what they said in the old. But you can get divorced if she commits adultery. Okay. Then you get to Paul. Okay, you get to Paul's letters, which actually came before the Gospels. In case anybody doesn't know, Paul's letters came way before the Gospels. But anyway, but they're in a different order in the book. Okay, so anyway, so you get to Jesus and he says, no, we're going to change that. You can't get divorced unless she commits adultery. All right, then you get to Paul and he changes Jesus's law. He says, okay, I know what Moses said. I know what Jesus said. Well, he doesn't say that, but anyway, forget what Moses said. Forget what Jesus said. Paul says, I'm telling you, you can also get divorced if your spouse doesn't believe it like you believe. Like if they have a different religion than you, then yeah, dump her like a boulder. Sorry, no, that's okay. It was funny. you know, I do get distracted. I've seen a lot of people doing live streams, and yeah, it's really easy to get distracted. But if you're the key is to be able to retrieve your thoughts once you get distracted and it's gone. Like to be able to retrieve it. That's the key. Some people can't, and sometimes I can't either. But anyway. No, I know what I was talking about. Anyway, so I just think it's kind of funny how Jesus changed Moses' law and then Paul changed Jesus' laws. So that's why people argue all the time. Well, can you get divorced? Yeah, you can. The Old Testament, not the Old Testament, the New Testament. Well, anyway, you know what I was thinking of doing a series of sometime? A progression of the Gospels, the progression that takes place with each book. There's a few things I might want to do. You know what would also be interesting? We just went over the 12 Olympian gods from Greece. It would also be interesting to go over the Egyptian gods because they're important too. And because they got a lot of influence on everything too. And then when you read the Bible, you'll know where these gods are coming from. You know what I mean? The ones that they complain about. Anyway, anybody want to come in or no? I'll put up a link if anybody wants to come in and chat. What else? Anyway, just so yeah, so next time you read, you know what the only time it is not? You know the only time it is not a purchase of a woman is in Genesis, the Adam and Eve story. Well, one of the Adam and Eve stories. There's two creation stories. One creation story is in chapter 1, and the other creation story is in chapter 2. They're two completely different stories. Remember, you guys, a few years ago, I came on one night and I said, you guys, I just reread Genesis and I just realized there's two creation stories. And I looked into that and oh, yeah. So there's one written by two different people, just like the doublets, all the other doublets. The She's My Sister story, that's a triplet actually, because it happens to Sarah and Abraham twice, which is impossible. And then their son, it happens to him and his wife, which, come on, really? Anyway, just keep in mind, like all great prophets say, you must remain in your horrible marriage. Divorce is never allowed, regardless of the circumstances. Yes, and that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, because that, and you know what's funny? You know what I really think it's funny? Is how people want to, and It's just people pick and choose what you want out of the Bible, and like a smorgasbord, and that's how you run your life. And if it says women need to shut up and be subservient to their husbands, if that's the line you want to go with, then that's that's for you. And somebody else will say something else, and somebody else will say something else. You can, well, we have to do this because it's in the Bible. Nah, is it? First of all, is it in the Bible? Because a lot of people think stuff's in the Bible, and it's not at all anywhere. Like the Romeo and Juliet story, you'll never hear in the Bible, ever. And it's funny how Tamar can be ordered to be burned at the stake. You know what horrible death that is, to be burned alive, tied to a tree and burned alive on a stake in front of everybody, burned alive? Yeah, he thought she was deserving of that because she had sex without being owned by a man. But he himself visits temple prostitutes every day, and he's the one ordering her to get burned at the stake. Wow. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's another one I want to do a series about. Yeah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh, I worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah, let's go over who Abraham is and Isaac and Jacob. Yeah, let's go over them. If it was today, they'd all be in prison. And just unbelievable things they all did. Anyway, I think it's funny. I worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Really? Like saying I worship the God of Larry, Moe, and Curly. I don't know them. I don't know any of them. Well, I don't know. You could say that if you want. I don't say that anymore. And I don't even say I believe in God of the Bible, because there's different gods of the Bible. There's like 5 of them. You got your J source, your Yahweh source, your Deuteronomy source, your Levitical source. At least 5 sources that we've gone over and over and over. That's why you got doublets. You got different stories. Yeah, you got 2 different creation stories. In Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, 2 completely different stories. One story, which makes complete sense, is that God made a woman and a man on the same day. And he said, this is awesome. Go forth and multiply. All right. That's about the only union you're going to see in the Bible where the man doesn't purchase the woman as, like a car with a title card or a boat or a Harley. But then you also have a different person with a different God writing the second creation story, which is God made man, Adam, man, and God wasn't really thinking at the time, and he just saw that the man was lonely. So later he said, you know what? It would be nice if you had a helper, a helpmate. And then he puts him to sleep and pulls out a rib and makes her. Okay, so she's a fraction of what that man is. Okay, so right away, there you go, bam. Whoever wrote that story obviously is a man written for other men, because the man was formed and the woman's just there to be a helper, to do what I say. Now, how does that make any sense? How was Adam supposed to go forth and multiply on the earth by himself? Huh? How long was Adam supposed to be here by himself before God dawned on God to say, it'd be nice if he had somebody around instead of just him? I mean, that story makes no sense, but it does if you're a man and you're trying to, have ownership of the woman and make her less than. So she's a second class. She's a fraction of the man. So the man's important. The woman's just like a spawn, and that helps out, I guess. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh man. Anyway, the two creation stories. That's right. Yeah. So it's so sad too, because in the Old Testament, oh my gosh, again, people want to pick and choose. Okay, I want certain things out of the Old Testament, but not that. Okay, it's a woman's time of the month. She has to go live in a shed in the backyard for 7 days. What? Yeah. Well, I don't like that rule. Okay, skip that one, scratch that one, but go to this next one here, where the man owns the woman. He tells her to shut up all the time. The rumors of King James. They're not even rumors. You know who I just heard defending King James? David Carrigan and NYSTV. You know what? As a matter of fact, it was during that they were going after the Mandela effect, the Bible change Mandela effect, which I believe is a complete joke. And not only that, they're completely don't even get me started. My head's like instantly going to explode from that. My head just filled with pressure thinking about it. Anyway, Bible effect. And the guy is right. After 2 years, you're a Bible expert, and you're going to tell us that the Mandela effect changed the when 2 or 3 are gathered. Are you kidding? Yeah, they changed it because now it used to say 2 or more are gathered. When 2 or more are gathered, no, it's always said 2 or 3 are gathered. Then what? Well, there he is in the midst. Okay, so if you have 2 or more people, then God shows up. That makes no sense. So if you're there by yourself, then he doesn't show up. But if you get a second person, maybe a third, he does. No. He's convinced and trying to convince and has convinced everybody that has changed. No. Back up, back up, back up. What is that? What is that paragraph about? It's about, is it about when 2 or 3 people gathered, then God shows up? He's there in the midst in your little gathering? Nope. When 2 or 3, I did a video about this. In fact, I did a whole live stream about this. It just makes me sick when people say that. So now it's 2 or 3. You can only have 3 people to gather. They're making a big deal of it, like a bunch of idiots. No, it doesn't say that. Never ever said 2 or more. As a matter of fact, I backed up and looked. Yeah, it just makes me annoyed. I don't know if it's 2 Timothy. I can't remember what passage it is. I think 2 Timothy. I don't know, whatever. It's about discipline in the church. When you have a person who's behaving badly in church, you have 2 or 3 people to talk to that person. Why? Why 2 or 3 people? Because over and over, the whole Old Testament tells you, and the New Testament tells you over and over and over, you have to have 2 or 3 witnesses to establish something as a fact. Even reading the Bible, if you don't see 2 or 3 things that confirm, so if you're reading something and you can't find a second or a third witness to what you're reading, you might want to think about that, because God said when 2 or 3 witnesses show up, and when he says, there I am in the midst, that means the truth is there in the center of it, okay? That's what that means. When 2 or 3 are witnessing something, there's the truth. All right, that's what that means. It doesn't mean you need 2 people to have God show up, then you can have a get-together. Anyway, making a big deal, is it 2 or more, 2 or 3? It's 2 or 3, because that's always what you need to establish a fact. And now if you're got somebody who's causing trouble in the church, you need 2 or 3 witnesses to go take that person and set them aside and tell them what's up. And then if he still misbehaves, see, this is the whole rest of. So I would like to tell those people, okay, 2 or 3 in the midst, 2 or 3 gathered, then he's in the midst. He's there. Really, what is that paragraph about? Oh, it's about gathering in the church. No, it isn't. It's about disciplinary actions. You need 2 or 3. See, I would pull it up right now, but it's just aggravating the crap out of me. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. But when you have 2 or 3 witnesses, there God is, as in, so it's just like saying, open up your Bible. If you can find 2 or 3 things that match what you're reading, at least a second or third witness to what you're reading, there's God, there's the truth, okay? Because there's certain things in scriptures that are not true, and it says so. Is it Jeremiah 10:10? I can't remember what it was, where he said, beware the lying pen of the scribes. Jeremiah warned everybody that they're changing scriptures. They're doing it accidentally, but they're also doing it on purpose. Why? Well, because if there's a Levite priest and he can become rich if you have to bring a goat in every Friday for a sacrifice, then he's going to write that in there. You have to bring a goat every Friday for whatever your sins. Okay, so people are adding things. Thousands of years ago, they were adding things into the scripture. The scribes were, okay? They had a pen. They're the only ones that know how to read and write. Most people don't. To know how to read was really amazing, but to know how to write also was almost, it's like finding somebody who can do calligraphy right now. It's almost impossible. So if you can find somebody who knows how to read and write, that was a scribe. A scribe knew how to write. And the ones who knew how to write and were handing out, so they would write down say they'd write down the book of Isaiah. They would change things, or they would the book of Deuteronomy, or Leviticus. How about Leviticus? You got some people, the scribes, that are writing stuff down, and they're going to say something that, maybe they're doing something they should get in trouble for, but maybe, hey, if I change the law, now I can do this all I want. So anyway, there's different motives for people to lie. Daniel said, beware the lying pen of the scribes, because thousands of years ago, way, way, way back then, they were changing things to suit themselves for their own benefit. Self-serving, So, anyway. Bible scholars who spend decades studying don't even claim to be experts. Exactly. That's why I say I've spent a lot of time, thousands of hours, but you know what? I'm still a student. I'm learning. I'm a student. And after 2 years, he's going to tell you that when 2 or 3 are gathered, changed to, 2 or more gathered, changed to 2 or 3. And now you can only have 2 or 3 people gather for church. Like, are you crazy? Oh my goodness. Anyway, annoying. Yeah, my head just, like, pressure builds up in my head when I think of stuff like this. If you want to twist it, that would mean you're wasting your time praying by yourself. God is not there unless you have backup. Exactly. So if one person's there, he's not in the midst. You have to have 2 or more, or 2 or 3, and then he shows up. Otherwise, forget about it. You don't have to. He's not going to show up unless you have a second or third person. Like, really? Then what about the prayer closet? You got to bring 2 or 3 people in your prayer closet? See, none of that makes sense. But if you have 2 or 3 people, and just look at it. Go back and look at the, but you know what? It's like, oh, I'm a King James only. Well, that's why you don't understand it. Because you got tricked into a version that is almost impossible to understand. So you stick by your King James only, and yeah, that's why you'll be misquoting the Bible constantly and thinking one thing is something that's not. But if you had a different version, any version that has titles and breaks things up into sections, you would see that the last story ended. Now you're on a new story. Now you're on a new topic. And this topic, remember, this is Paul writing letters to a church, or to Timothy, or to whoever, his buddies. But he's writing letters telling people they're having problems, okay? We got problems back. These churches all started. Paul's hearing about problems. So when Paul writes the letters, Paul's letters are usually responding to a problem back at this church or that church or this, or Ephesus or the Thessalonians or whatever. These different churches are having problems. So when Paul writes a letter, he's usually responding to an issue that they had. And so the issue that they wrote him must have been, well, we're having a problem with the person in church, which we do. He writes back, all right, and if you read it in a version that's able to understand it and it has sections, you'll see now this next section coming up is about how to deal with somebody acting up in the church. And then it says, you know, first you go to them alone, and then you go with a brother or two, because when two or three are in the midst, or two or three gathered, there he is in the midst. That means, and then after that, it tells you, and if he still doesn't do it, get him out of the church. Yeah, get a bigger prayer closet. You're going to need at least two or three in there if that's the case. Makes no sense. But yeah. Anyway. But I think it's funny because, and we should go over King James sometime. Forget about the fact that he wore dresses from a very young age and had very peculiar, and forget about the family he came in and all that stuff. I think the biggest deception is the way that they, because you know what? They wrote it in a different language, and then they updated into Shakespeare, Old English Shakespeare language. And then they put it back to normal language, and then they went back to Shakespearean language. I think you'll figure it out too fast if they write it simply, and because you go to chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10, you think that you're going to, okay, now we're at chapter 10, a new story. No, you're finishing, the first paragraph is finishing the last, chapter 9 story, without telling you that. You don't know it, but you're just finishing from the paragraph before. You know what I mean? How it disorientates you. So you think you're in a new time and a new space and all that. No. And then little do you know that on the second paragraph, you're starting a new story and you don't even know it. And like I said, it was a trick, and we went over this one night. To be fair, Boyd did wear his dresses back in the day, but James was not the hero he's made out to be. Yeah, true. Boys did wear dresses, yeah. But, right, he's not the hero that he's made out to be. But of course he's going to be made out to hero, because what do you guys remember? I went over this not that long ago, but I can't remember. I think it was the 1800s, whenever it was, 17 or 1800s, whenever it was in the United States, the King James Bible, when they started that printing press. Whenever they invented the printing press, they printed up all these King James Bibles, and they loaded the churches up, especially like the Baptist churches and certain churches. They load them up, and they told the pastors, every one of them, because they are Freemasonic churches, they have their plaques on every one of them. So they told the pastors or the preachers, the reverends or whoever's running the churches, not reverends, that's Catholic, but the pastors, the whatever, preachers, they told them to stick King James only. And if anybody strays from the King James or wants to have a different version, ostracize that person. And if they still want to have a different version, get them out of your church. So you're kicked out of the church if you want to do something other than the King James. Well, it didn't take long, a few decades, and now, in fact, now look, it's been a couple hundred years, and now look. Do you know how many people I've heard just today I've heard 2 people today say, as a matter of fact, I just heard David Carrico say the same thing. Oh, only the King James. And people make up stories about him, and he was a good man. Okay, he's pushing it. Ceiling Fan Man. Oh, I only read the King James. That's what they're fighting about, these Mandela effect Bible changes. Well, what version do you read? King James. What version do you read? King James. I only read King James. Well, so do I. I only read King James. Like, that's why you guys are lost, okay? Because you fell for the trick, and that was ostracizing. And to this day, look what you got out there. People are like, well, I only read King James. What do you read? Only the King James. All right then. Well, I almost got you there, but if you only read King James, I can't doubt you on that. But yeah, so it's like, if you want to be credible, you got to have the King James. Like, okay, you can read a whole story and not even know what's going on. You get a different English version, all of a sudden it's like, what? It's a completely, all of a sudden you can understand it. Yeah. Yeah. But it was just, because just think about it. Going all the way back to the Catholic Church. What was it written in Greek? It was written in Latin. All this stuff nobody knew how to read, and they loved it. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we want to read that book too. Like, nah, we'll read it. We'll tell you what it says. Don't worry. It's too much for you. They're like, nah. And then some people are like, nah, we want to read it. And they're like, okay, dang. Okay, now they want to read the Bible. We can't control them if they start reading it themselves. We have to tell them what it says. Otherwise, we don't make money. We can't control them. So, anyway, they had to come up with a plan. I know. Let's give them a version they can't understand. Yeah. Give them the King James. They'll read it forever and not even know what the story is talking about. And it worked. And then make sure that they're ashamed to read anything but the King James. And they start straying off of other stuff. They'll realize that stories, you'll start. But do they understand who removed other books in the process of making their King James? Exactly. They're saying, oh, I don't want to read other books. Oh, we don't want to read the Apocrypha. No. Oh, okay. I can't read. Oh, I don't want to read the book of Enoch. Okay, really. So, let me get this straight. They used to, the original King James or whatever, the original Bible had 80 books, 80 or something like that. How many did they remove? Now it's down to 66. So they took out 14 right there. You got the Apocrypha, you got all these other books. Oh, we can only stick with the King James and no other books. Okay, well, actually, some of those books used to be in the King James, but okay, it was the Queen Elizabeth, not King James, Queen Elizabeth, then it was the King James, whatever. Okay. And as a matter of fact, I was just listening to somebody who was saying that you wouldn't believe how many have been removed. There was like hundreds in there at one time, a collection of hundreds or whatever. But anyway, so I have a question. Like, okay, so if you believe 100% everything in the King James and nothing else. Okay, so not Enoch? No, not Enoch. Okay, then answer this. Yeah, there was hundreds. Yeah, that's what I thought. Hundreds. That's what I thought. And to make sure to control everybody, they took everything out about the afterlife, about people's freedoms and their rights and all kinds of things. And they kept in there all the things that keep people under their thumb. You know what I mean? Okay, but I got a question. Okay, so I'm not going to, I can't. We've read Enoch lots of times. All right, and I don't know. There's 3 different Enochs, 3 books, and anyway. Okay, but we just went over paragraphs that came out of exactly, the less people know, the easier it is for them to control, because knowledge is power. And if they keep that knowledge away from you, then you have less power. and that go across the board for everything in life. But if you read the book of Jude, clouds without water they are, blah 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 blah, all that straight out of Enoch, word for word out of Enoch. Jude quotes Enoch, word for word. I don't know how many times. Jude only has one chapter. It only has one chapter, and I don't know how many times he quotes Jude out of the book of Jude in that one chapter. So it's funny. They'll read Jude, but Jude's quoting Enoch. I can't read Enoch. Well, you are reading Enoch. Jude's reading Enoch for you. No, you don't have to read Enoch. Jude will read it to you. Anyway. All right. Well, guys, anybody want to come up? Otherwise, I'll wrap it up. I don't even know what to talk about. I don't know. Okay, so get this. So yesterday, I go out to my pole barn, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to start setting up my garage sale. And so I go into the back of the pole barn, and there's a door, and it's a building I don't never go in. But anyway, I thought, I put my tables back there out of the way last fall, and I put a bunch of stuff back there. I packed that building back there, so I got more room. Anyway, I thought, oh, my table's in that back shop there. So I open up the door, go back there, and I hear meow, 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 all these little baby kittens. Anyway, I look, and on the top shelf, there's a box, and a mama cat, a wild cat, feral cat, whatever, pops her head up and hisses at me, ha, ha, ha. And I thought, man, you got a tiny head. I think at first I thought it was a kitten, but it's not. The kittens are tiny, tiny, but she's little. She's the one of them on the gray striped one that eats out here every night. Anyway, I bet Bosco probably gotten her knocked up. I gotta get my cat neutered or something. He's gonna end up impregnating all the county up here. Anyway, so I go out there today, and guess what? Vacant. They have left the building. Since yesterday, she took all the kittens and moved them out of the building. I don't know where she went. There's a little, she's been getting in and out by, in the back. I think Bosco's the daddy, probably. Anyway, there's a little space that she can crawl under the door. I got a sliding door in there where you can pull like a vehicle in or something. But anyway, it's dirt, and she's got a little, she can get in and out of there in the little hole. So she took them all and moved them somewhere. Empty box. Yeah, Mama got scared, moved her. She did, yeah. And that's what they do, even if they're in your own house. Once you discover them, like, this is a wild cat. I don't know. She's wild. So, yep. I didn't even go near her. I did take a video. And then me and the dogs got out of there, and she's hissing at me, and I'm like, okay, don't worry, we're out. And I went in there and shut and locked the door. Anyway, I thought I'll just leave her alone. Sorry about that. Came back today, they're all gone. She moved them. Yep, once they get discovered, what she thinks is I'm going to get help, and we're going to come back and take her babies. She says, oh, heck no, not on my watch. She's not coming back to get my babies. No, come on, babies. Come on, we're out of here. Let's go. And she took them all and moved them somewhere. Probably to another building. I've got other buildings she can go in. But anyway, yep. So she must have spent all last night moving them. Anyway. Yeah, probably Bosco got her pregnant. I don't know. I didn't want, it's like a bird nest. I don't want to go near it. You know what I mean? So I didn't like go near it, threaten her, nothing like that, or touch anything. So I just saw her head popping up, hissing at me. I didn't even see the babies, but they're probably Bosco's babies, you know what I mean? Anyway. All right, well, guys, I'll wrap it up, get off here. I don't know why my icon is white. That's weird. It looks like I saw a ghost. Anyway. Yep, I'll wrap it up and do some stuff. Yeah, anyway, anything else? Otherwise, I will wrap it up. And anyway. Oh, you were gonna pop in? Really? Well, I'll put the link up like right now. I'm so excited I can't even think of where the link is. Okay, hold on a second. All right. Hey, you want to pop in? I'll put up a link. Hold a second. I'm doing this on my phone, so let me see. I figure out how to do it. Okay, am I back? All right, copy. I think I can do this. Test, test, test. Am I back? I think I'm back. I'm trying to invite guests. Copy. Guests can stream this on their own destination. Okay, no. Instructions for guests. Hold on a second. I'm trying to post the link. Okay, you guys. I just figured out. It's been so long since I did this. I forgot how to do this. Oh, come on. Hold on. All right, am I back? Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to post the link. Invite guest. Copy. Okay. Now, post comment. I should be able to. Oh, come on, man. I'm trying to post a comment. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I think I'm back. All right, I'm trying to figure out how to. Trying to figure out. Invite guest. Copy. It's weird because it's not letting me copy the link. One second. Oh, I got it. Ah, I got it. All right, it took a while. Forgot how to do that. All right, I got it. There's a link for StreamYard. Grace or anybody else if I know you. There it is. I will. There you go. Somebody can grab that link if you want. Come on up. Chit chat. Omar, are you here? You want to come up and chat? Patrick Preliminary. I just saw Patrick over at Ceiling Fan Man's. I just saw him over there. All right, there is the link. I got it back in the holder. It's been a while. I forgot how to do that. All right. It's been a long time since I put up a link. Months. Months, I tell you, months. Oops, I almost removed myself. How is that possible? Look at that. I think it's the holder that's doing that. Interesting. The holder kind of squeezes the phone a little too hard sometimes. There it goes. All right. Anybody want to come up? We're waiting for Grace. It'd be nice to have our southern gal, Sandra, come on in. Oh, that is weird how this thing keeps going back on the... Oh, my goodness. Serenity now. I don't know how to get this thing up here. I think it's when I phone squeezing it too hard. Anyway, don't need it on there. Move it on here. All right. So, anybody? Grace needs a minute. She might be coming up. Oh, you know what? It's been a while. I'm going to have to probably get my headphones on. I had them when I was working in the yard today. So I can hear. Oh, you know what? I think if I mute the... It's been a while since I've done this, so I think if I mute the TV, my... whatever it's called, monitor, whatever, I think I won't need the headphones. Anybody? Grace is coming in. I'll have a chat with her. Anybody? There is a link for StreamYard. Open invitation. As long as you don't pull your pants down. Grace already knows the rules. She ain't gonna do it. Alright. Anybody. Oh, we're still Grace. I don't know what else to talk about. Just kidding. No, actually, I don't know what else to talk about. Try, but it's not letting you? Really? The 9P66? What is it doing? Is your microphone not hooked up, or? That's it, 9P66. Well, that's okay. I appreciate that you tried. I appreciate you trying anyway. Try it one more time. I'll wrap it up. That's all right. No problem. I don't know why. Usually it's the person's phone. It's not like you have to allow the microphone. You don't necessarily have to allow the camera, but you do have to allow the microphone, I think. Peace is trying to come on. I don't see him. Where? Where do you see him? I don't see anybody. Yes. I don't see anybody in the... Oh, okay. You must be talking about Peace's friend, the troll. Because if Peace is trying to come in, he's coming from the other side. God rest his soul, too. God bless Peace 777. That's okay. No problem. No problem. You would be calling from the other side, and I would answer in a heartbeat. But I thought you meant his friend. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, that's okay. If you're not able to come on, maybe we can try it again tomorrow night. Maybe tomorrow we'll try Bible Jeopardy if anybody wants to play Bible Jeopardy. I was gonna do a bonfire tonight, but just yeah, we would love to hear from our friend Troll. Yep. Where they living. Anyway. All right. Otherwise, I'll wrap it up. Say good night. But thanks for trying to come on, Grace. I appreciate that. Maybe we can work the bugs out and try it again tomorrow. Not sure. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you, Heavenly Father, for all of our blessings today, including this gathering. Amen. Yeah, maybe tomorrow. See if it works tomorrow. Yeah, we're just probably gonna have another open chat tomorrow. Not too much. I'm working on some other stuff. And anyway. So, all right. So good night to everybody who came on and who's on right now. Good night to Omar and Grace who came into the chat. Thanks, Grace, for trying to get into as a guest, but we'll try it again tomorrow. And anybody else? Shout out to my sister Chris if she's listening. Shout out to anybody who's listening, Sandra or everybody. Love you too, Grace. Thanks. Love, prayers, blessings to you too. All right, you guys. Thanks for coming in. Nice chat with y'all. God bless you all, and have a great rest of the evening. Have an awesome day tomorrow, and keep reaching for the stars. Just kidding. Do what you want. Anyway, good night, guys.